Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to Harness the Shift with Jay, where we're going to peel back those layers, drop the mask, and remember who we really are, our true, authentic selves, before this world got a hold of us. I'm Jay, your neurosomatic wellness strategist, truth speaker, and guide through this wild terrain of awakening. Here, we do not sugarcoat healing. It's a difficult thing, I tell you. I've lived it. We talk about the nervous system here, and we talk about the soul, and we dive into these moments that cracked us open and the shifts that rebuilt us. So if you're ready to meet yourself in truth and walk in your divine power, I hope that you continue to listen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get it started. Hello, you beautiful souls. Thanks for tuning in. So today is going to be an amazing podcast. I am going to be interviewing, catching up, kind of a reunion, I guess, with a friend of mine from the Air Force, Alan Sandlin. And he's going to join me via the phone, and he's up in the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. And so we're just going to catch up, and you guys can sit back and just listen to the conversation. I'm excited to see where this goes. All right, tune in. There we go.
Your harness the shift backdrop and
I actually changed that because I kind of had a Western theme, and then I was like, you know what? I like Western, but it doesn't really go with what I got going on. So I changed it up.
well, it still has a Western flair to it.
Exactly. Well, the whole thing behind Harness the Shift, right? You know what that's all about.
Yes.
It is what we're going through right now, like this whole change, and we're coming into like remembering who we are and all of the crazy stuff that's going on in the Matrix. Did you ever think crazy times, friend? Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you on. How are you, Alan?
We have got some catching up to do. Holy
So
cow.
much. I'm loving this. This is awesome. So
First of
thank you for
all,
joining me.
yeah. Now, first of all, thanks for having me. I can't believe we reconnected after 30 years. Like I said, I've kept in touch with a handful of people throughout those 6 years that I was in the military. 3 on the East Coast and 3 here on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, it's been a wild ride, and 30 years just went by, and here we are, and
Right?
there's a lot that's happened between then and now.
There has been a lot in my life, a lot in your life. So let's get started. So, okay, let's talk about how we met, okay? And let's give people a little background on how we met.
Give us. Let's hear your version.
So
I know. I don't know the specific day and time, but I know about where and when.
Yeah. So Alan and I met when we were stationed at Langley Air Force Base in Hampton, Virginia. And we were both medics. And I know I was working in ICU for a minute, but I was working on med surg, and then I moved over to ICU. And you were over in med surg. Did you move anywhere? Or were you over there the entire time?
I ended up going down to the ER right before
That's right.
Yeah, just for a little bit before I headed out in March of '94, I think it was.
And so, where did you go? I forgot.
I went back to my Northwest roots, out to Fairchild in Spokane.
Spokane.
Spokecompton.
Spokecompton. in.
In the house. Jump on it. Jump on it.
And and remind me, did you retire or did you get out? Did you just get out after how many years?
Well, I did 6 years,
Okay.
and I call it a mutual agreement. How about that?
Amen. Amen. A mutual agreement to
Oh,
cease
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Okay.
That'll be chapters 10 through 14 in the book that I haven't wrote yet.
I hear you, right?
Holy cow!
Gosh, crazy times when we were at Langley. I had a blast, you know, and then I was like, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to go see the world. Went to Germany. And a lot of people, I kind of, you know, I guess that happens when you go half across the world. You just lose connection with people. And then you have Facebook that kind of came about and all of that. And no, but it was good times. And we had such great times. And remember the girl that you were dating? I can't remember her name.
Well, that narrows it down.
The blonde girl with the long hair.
Catherine.
Catherine, where is she?
I don't officially know, but I think I know her roots. Actually, I do know. You remember her best friend, Bernadine?
Yes.
I actually crossed paths with Bernadine recently, and
Oh my goodness.
they live like an hour apart from each other in California, down by San Diego.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, they don't really talk much. I think I don't know what the details were, but they know of each other, and they've kept in touch pretty much this whole time, and once in a while here and there randomly, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Cool.
she's
Cool,
married and
cool,
has
cool.
a couple kids, and so does Bernadine.
Wow.
I think Bernadine does too.
My goodness. And so you left Langley. I left Langley, went to Germany. You left Langley, went to Spokane. And then you got out and you've just been doing your thing. So let's catch up. So
All
tell
right.
me what's been going on. Did you put in for the assignment to leave Langley?
Yes, it was actually I actually utilized the swap program,
Mm.
which you've heard of, the
Mm-hmm.
infamous swap program, but
Yep.
nobody's ever been able to do it because you have to be the exact MOS and the exact skill level and the exact everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you both have to pay for it.
Bureaucratic nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so one night, and I'd been on the East Coast there for about 3 years and having a great time. I mean, I still keep in touch with Jose, I
Yeah.
keep in touch with Terry Ryder and Dario Guerra, and uh, oh shoot, Janine, uh, Terry's wife.
What about Robert Vasquez?
I don't ever know what happened to him. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Danielle Rohrbaugh still,
Oh, yeah. Danielle, yep.
yeah, still keeping. So these are all people I keep in touch with via Facebook and comments here and there, and we found each other over the last 5-10 years on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little circle there of people that you recognized all their names, of course.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies, and so much has gone on. And I know Danny's has several kids, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. She ended up marrying a doctor, one of the
Yeah.
doctors, and they're still together. And yeah, I mean, everybody's got kids, and they're all either out of college or just going into college or getting out of college at that age, late teens, early 20s. Yeah, so it's wild. Yeah.
It is wild.
I mean,
And like
I have a
their kids
21-year-old.
are adults. It's bonkers.
Yeah, I have a 21-year-old.
That's
So
bonkers to me.
it seems like yesterday he was 3.
I know, right? And you guys do a lot of snowmobiling and uh,
Yeah, I
do you guys do buggy like dunes and stuff like your what are they called?
I
I don't
call
want
them
to call
super
them.
buggies. I
Yeah,
call them
super
super buggies,
buggy. Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're called side by sides or razors. You know, Polaris,
Mm-hmm.
razors, Can-Ams. I call them super buggies. But yeah, we've always had one ever since he was basically born. I've always had a side by side and or snowmobiles and or dirt bikes. Um, we've always had toys. You know, he didn't grow up on a computer too much.
That's great.
You know, on purpose. He had his time. He had some. We let him, you know, have his times and moments, but he uh, he would rather go snowmobiling or get out with dad and have some fun in the mountains or whatnot.
Absolutely. And Idaho is gorgeous. And then up by where you live in Coeur d'Alene, that is gorgeous up there.
Yeah, it's not sucking. Definitely.
No, definitely not sucking.
Definitely not sucking.
And one thing I have to say about the Pacific Northwest is it's absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Now, now and I don't want to beat up on people here in Portland, but it's a little odd. The uh, people are very guarded here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I've
which,
heard.
yeah, which is not, um, that's not, I'm from the Midwest. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, come on in. What do you
Mm-hmm.
want?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you want a beer? You want,
Mm-hmm.
like, we're friendly people. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's been kind of a hard adjustment for my brother, my sister-in-law, and myself. And I think she's now just kind of getting to know folks and stuff. And they've been out here like almost 5 years actually. So, and I moved to Boise because I didn't want to really stay here because I was, in my political mindset, we'll say. And so now I ended up moving here because I lost a contract. I've had a lot of transitions going on in the last 5 years. It's been very unstable
Okay.
with regard to work. And I'm in clinical research, and I've never seen the market like this. It's
Okay.
very bizarre. And going through my spiritual awakening, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get into the coaching. My degrees are in neuroscience and psychology and all of that, and I never resonated with that because it was always about the problem and not the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So I think life coaching is it's a little bit more my style, because it focuses on the solution, not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing about transpersonal psychology is, this whole process of going to war with the ego, because we've been psychologically programmed for
Mm-hmm.
a long time. And
Yep.
uh, and this is where we've gotten, this epidemic of narcissism and all of this, where it's instant gratification and
Mm-hmm.
me, and in our society, and entitlement, sense of entitlement, and all of that. So and look, I'm guilty of it too. I had to do my work, and that's what it's all about. And not everybody wants to do the work, but I think people are starting to realize that I think I'm going to have to. So we're
Yeah.
seeing more people dive into that, which is great. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we can tap into, I know you well enough to know we can dive into the spiritual realm of life right now and where we're at
Yeah.
and the spiritual battles that are taking place daily,
Oh, God, yes.
in and around each of our own lives, and
Mm-hmm.
then the bigger spiritual battle, you know, in our government and in the world
Mm-hmm.
platform, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's wild. And you know, back when 30 years ago when we were in the military in our early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and and none of this mattered. None of this was even on our radar. We
No.
were, I mean, we were just doing what 20 something year olds do.
We
And
were having a blast.
we
We
were,
were having
yeah,
a blast. We were
absolutely.
serving our country, and yeah.
Yeah, it was just good, wholesome, real relationship stuff
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you cross paths with people you would never cross paths with unless you were in the military. And then here you are 30 years later, still connected to a dozen or half a dozen of them.
Right.
And so yeah, it's very unique. And it was a whole different world back then. I know we sound like we're getting old, and back then and blah blah blah, but I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
The life circle, the circle of life, is wild. It's a wild, wild ride. And I've always told people that you start at one point of the circle and you go around it, and you can never go back. Once you're going on that circle, it just keeps going forward. You can never go backwards, and you only get one
Right.
chance on that circle,
Yeah.
and eventually there's an end. And so,
Yeah.
and none of us knows when that's going to be. So,
Absolutely.
make
It's
the best
it's
of
like,
it.
yeah, it's like, well, I've been down all kinds of rabbit holes, and the whole reincarnation that, we agreed to this life path and we're here on this journey. It's actually a school to evolve our soul and all of this interest. It's very interesting. And how, like, our consciousness has become fragmented from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, and all of these things. And it just kind of makes sense. It really does make sense, because that's where the whole deja vu thing comes from. And,
Hmm.
we're dealing with this. Because I know you have the eyes to see, and you're watching this from a bird's eye view just go on, and it's just like, what the heck is going on?
Hmm. It's
It's
wild. It's
it's
wild.
wild. And I just sit back and I'm like, some days I have to laugh, because I'm like, this is so ridiculous. And people don't even realize how ridiculous they are, because they're not in the present, right? They're so consumed with everything that's going on, everything that they're not even
They're
aware
blanketed.
of
They're blanketed.
themselves.
They are
Yes.
so consumed and blanketed and
Yes.
programmed and
Yes.
and bought and sold and not even know. They don't even know. And these are people that that I know. These are family members. These are parents,
Yes.
grandparents, friends, co-workers,
Yeah.
people you would never ever think in a million years. Your favorite uncles, your favorite aunts. Um, it's just wild, 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 wild. But once you've been made aware and
Mm-hmm.
able to see the truth and given that gift of discernment, I guess you could say, in
Right.
the world and the reality, and what that reality, that's perspective. I mean, we can
Yeah.
break that down, but
Absolutely.
holy cow! I mean, this world is wild. Back when we were in our 20s, just like every generation that was in their 20s, they weren't worried about politics or world events for the most part. They were
Right.
doing 20-year-old things, just and that's what we were doing. And now you fast forward 30 years, and the perspective that some of us have been given, not all of us,
Right.
uh, is just like you said, kind of a bird's eye view of standing back and being able to see clearly, so to speak. And it's wild. And be careful what you ask for; you just might get it. You know.
Oh, 100%. And you know that there's things that, like, are happening spiritual. You mentioned spiritual war, right? Like, we're having
Hmm.
this spiritual warfare. Like, we know that something divine is interceding, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's interceding from a point of like, I've removed the veil, you're going to see everything, and you're just like, what is this? You know? And then it's like, rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and then your brain starts to wake up and you're creating all
Mm-hmm.
of these new neural pathways, and you're like, okay, let me take this back to God. God, is this true? Like,
Yep.
for instance, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about what's going on with the children. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And that rabbit hole took me 2 years to get down because I just could not wrap my head around it.
Well, which part of the children? There's a lot of facets.
Oh, the trafficking, the
Uh-huh.
adrenochrome,
Oh yeah.
like
Yep.
all
Yep.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And how long it's been going
and
on?
how long it's been going on. And
Decades.
decades. And who's involved. And it's so, I talk to people. We also talked about the whole political thing, and I'm like, 95% of DC is corrupted. It's corrupted to the core, and
Mm-hmm.
all the house of cards needs to fall.
And has been for decades.
Yes, and on purpose, very infiltrated on purpose, and
Uh-huh.
and we're also, if you think about it, we've been battling this 6,000-year-old cabal that serves a different God,
Mm-hmm.
that and we know that nothing is created by that God. Everything that we see, everything that goes on this earthly plane is created by God and then perverted and gaslit. So, like the whole spiritual thing, oh, that's gaslit, that you're going to go to hell if you don't
Mm-hmm.
accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, but what about idolatry? And it's just a lot of asking of these questions, and a lot of hypocrisy that I see. And gosh, if I'm not being told I'm going to hell on a daily, I can't even tell you. And then it's like, wait a minute, it's in the scripture. And if you discern, when you condemn your brother and sister, you're condemning yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So be careful. Hey, I love you. I'm sending you love and light, but we're done here. Block. Yeah, I didn't got time for that.
That's right.
I'm all about love. I'm all about patience and kindness and understanding. All of those amazing qualities that Jesus had. But it's not my job on this earthly plane to judge others or to tell other people how to, go about their journey. It's not it's not it's not my job. That's to somebody else, a higher being. And do we even know what that's going to look like? I don't know. Um, you know, only we only know when we pass from this meat suit and wherever we go, which,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, but I think being on this journey has been really cool because I'm at a point in my life that I am fearless.
Mm.
Whatever happens, happens. And, you hear, oh, that person's this and that person's, and it's like, I don't want to live my life thinking that everyone is out to get me. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, because the Spirit has revealed that to me, that we have good people that are pro-humanity, that have the power and are doing what I believe needs to be done, because I don't have a feeling that, my God, we're done for. I just don't have that feeling. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm open to that. I don't know a thing. Okay. I mean, I don't know
Mhm.
anything. Um, and then you think back, like before all of this happened and before I spiritually awakened, it was like I was so much in my ego thinking I knew everything about everything and I didn't know shit.
When was this? Do you remember what day?
I
You remember?
started, I started, well, I lost my mom in 99. And
Hmm.
I think I just started that. It started back then. But I've always been one of those kids that's like, when 9/11 happened, I'm like, that's an inside job. This
Hmm.
this kind of shit doesn't happen. This is
Hmm.
crazy.
Hmm.
And oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, Jamie.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, no. I'm telling you, I can
Hmm.
see. And it's like, you go through life, people beat you down, you say
Hmm.
things, they're like, you're crazy. You
Hmm.
get tired of being
Hmm.
told you're crazy. And you're
Yeah, been
just
there,
like, you
been
know
there, done
what?
that.
Yep,
Been there, done
yep.
that.
And I'm not going to say anything anymore. And I just sit back and take it all in and this happens and that happens and I'm like, okay, okay. And then,
It's hard
you
not to
know,
gloat at this point, though. I got to be
yeah,
honest. I mean, I'm a
yeah.
Christian, but it's hard not to sit there with and want to give him the middle finger and smile. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean,
Oh
that's
God, yeah.
I'm still a sinner. I mean, I have these
Absolutely.
thoughts. Those thoughts still
I
happen.
I'm
Uh,
I'm telling you.
you know.
Look, I'm not perfect. I have my days. I had a day yesterday. I'm driving
Uh,
down the street. I get to a red light and I'm just waiting. I'm just sitting there. And I look in my rear view mirror and this guy is coming barreling for me and he's not stopping.
mm,
And I'm like, what is going on? And then the light changes. Before I could even get my foot on the gas, he was wah, and I was like, oh hell no.
mm,
So I got over into the left lane. I let him get, he's in the right lane. We pull up to the next light. I roll my window down and I'm honking at him. Roll your window down, roll your window
mm,
down. And I said, excuse me. I said, was that you honking at me at the other light? And he was like, huh? I go, you heard what I said. I said, I repeated myself. And he was like, yeah. And I go, patience is a virtue, son. And he goes, you need to get your eyes checked. I said, there's nothing wrong with my eyes. I go, how about you go fuck yourself
Yeah, that'll happen.
with love and light? Because I'm like, oh, because I'm not going fast enough for you. You want to act like a
Shoot.
jerk. It couldn't be that. It could never be that you're an aggressive driver, that
Well, I have a
you're
cure.
entitled.
I have a cure for that because on my
Yeah.
my rig, I have a train horn.
Mm.
Yes, I have an actual train horn from I'll, I don't mind telling the company Horn Blasters, and yeah, it's expensive and worth every penny of it.
Well, it's like
Because he would have
people.
got the horn. He would have got the
Yeah,
train horn.
he would have got the horn. Yeah. Oh my God, if I would have had a horn, I'd have been like, "Rah."
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good. I mean, it
I would have
really
been, yeah. Because
people's
I'm like,
souls leave their body.
what?
Yeah, their souls leave
I'm
their
like,
body.
I'm like, look, I am all about the love and the light, but I'm all about fuck around and find out.
Yeah,
I'm
there is
not a
that.
pushover. I've stepped into my
Right.
power. I don't let anybody walk all over me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. And
Mm-hmm.
if
That's right.
people if people don't like it, well, you don't have to follow me. I'm not for everyone. That's what I
Yeah.
say all the time. I am not for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge people, and I'm not afraid to confront people. I'm like, what is I wish that I would have asked him, what are you okay? That's I replay it back, but I was so pissed that I was just like, ah, like,
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then when he gaslit me, I was like, go, you know,
Well,
no,
Jamie,
it's not going to happen.
what year did you start your walk with Jesus?
I would say that, I've always been connected. My mom, um, it's very interesting. The the night my mother passed away, I went out and I had a conversation with God. And I said, okay, you're the all-knowing, you're the all-powerful. My mother is laying in this bed and she's suffering. So I'm going to ask you, the all-powerful, the all-knowing God, that it's time to take her. We will be okay. It's time. Like, I just was like, because, when you see someone suffer like that, it's just, I just had so
Mm-hmm.
much compassion for her in
Mm-hmm.
that journey. And, I knew my mom was dying, and we had an opportunity to talk before she passed. And she said, she would ask me questions and, is this what it's like? And I'm like, I don't know, Mom, I don't know. I mean, they say that it is, and I'm like, are you afraid? And she's like, I'm not afraid. It's beautiful. And I was like, oh, in my head, I'm like, she's close.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a couple days before she passed. So going through something like that and like watching that happen,
Mm-hmm.
it it changes you. It changed me in a way that I've always just trusted the spirit. Always.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been protected. I don't know why, but anytime I've fallen on my ass, whatever it's been, layoff after I've had so much crap that's gone on in my life. I could write a book. I am writing a book, but
Mm-hmm.
that you just
With innovation at our core, we've reimagined what's possible. Harnessing the body's natural energy flow with light. Backed by clinical research, X39 stimulates the skin with low levels of light to elevate a key peptide linked to renovating and rejuvenating the body. This life technology supports improved movement, recovery, and overall health and well-being. You are Generation Awesome. Shifting paradigms and creating new ones. We always knew you had it in you. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. Your adventures are only beginning. Discover the power and simplicity of doing more with X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
that you just learn how to have this tenacity, and you have to bounce back from it, right?
You have to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You do. And then I got into a really stressful, I was getting into clinical research, and once my dad started getting sick, I started drinking a lot. I was drinking every day. And
mm,
it kind of took hold. But at the same time, there were still kind of like signs like, okay, Jamie, you need to pull back. You know, like the spirit was trying to catch me a little bit. And so, you go through that whole thing. My dad loses his wife. She's 52. She's young. She was my age 2 years ago. I'm 54. And
yeah.
it's like, what? I can't even imagine. Like, I think that I have a different perspective now because I'm older and around the age that she
Mm-hmm.
passed. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, wow, And so I'm going through this, I'm in this, I don't like to call it addiction. I was abusing.
Mm-hmm.
I was abusing it because I didn't want to cope. I wasn't happy. I'm like in this career. I'm planes, trains, and automobiles. I'm burning the candle at both ends. I'm like a slave to big pharma and their whole research thing. Quit. Research and I think I'm helping people, but I'm not really feeling like I am, like soul wise. And so I'm
Mhm.
starting to question things. And so my dad, his health starts getting worse, and he passed away in January of 18. And I was just numb. When my dad passed away, I was numb. And I was still drinking. And I really didn't want to deal with what was going on. And I think what the catalyst was for me, it was like I was always there. I knew I was always connected to the divine. But then it was like all of a sudden, I lose my dog, and that was it. I was done. I was like, you know what? I got to quit drinking. And then my little brother comes to me and he says, "Hey, we need to talk." And I'm like, "Oh, shit.
Mhm.
What does he want to talk about?"
Mhm.
Because, we lived together when we were in Florida. They had their little separate part of the house, and I had my separate part of the house, and they were monitoring my bottle of Tito's.
Mhm.
So they're like, my little brother comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you drinking a lot." I'm like, "No shit, Sherlock." And he's like, he goes, and I go, "I'm giving you shit." I said, "I appreciate you coming to me." And I said, "It's funny that you bring this up." I said, "Because I'm ready." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "I'm ready. I'm gonna stop drinking. My last drink's going to be on New Year's Eve, because we had people coming over for New Year's Eve. This was in December of 18, or excuse me,
Mhm.
in 19.
Mhm.
We get to Christmas Eve. We had people over for Christmas Eve, and that was my last drink. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm done." And once I started to detox and I started to lose weight, and I was like, all of a sudden, it was like, whoosh, right? And so I'm in New York City. It's, you know, the beginning of the pandemic. I'm there for work, and I see like the crowds thinning out over the week. And I just all of a sudden, like, the spirit is saying, "Girl, don't believe any of this nonsense. You have nothing to fear. This is all nonsense." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm looking around and I'm like, "Okay, do not fear, do not fear." Like, I'm in New York City, the city that never sleeps, and like the crowds are thinning. This is very weird. It was very apocalyptic.
Mhm.
But I wasn't fearful. And so I go home. I fly home on an aircraft with 5 people. LaGuardia, virtually, there was no one there the day that I flew out, which was the 14th of March in 20. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, what is going on?
Mhm.
Something's wrong here."
Mhm.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, my conspiratorial mind. This isn't,
Mhm.
this is a bioweapon.
Mhm.
So I get home, and birds of a feather flock together. My best friend, who's my sister-in-law, she moved in on my brother. Um, but
Mhm.
I walked in and I said, this is bullshit, and this is a bioweapon. And she's like, "Oh my God, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm telling you, there's something not right with what's going on." And she's like, "Okay." So we start watching the news and we get sucked in. and sucked in and sucked in. And then we're like fearful and we're sucked in. And then, and I'm seeing they're like, hey, if you want to hear more information, they cut off the president mid-sentence. You want more information, go to www. whatever. And I'm thinking, what? This is a pandemic. And you're cutting the president of the United States off? What is going on here? And I said, you know what? We're done. We are not watching this. We are getting sucked into this. This is psychological bullshit. This is warfare. And they looked at me like, what? And I said, yes. So then a couple days later, I'm just like talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, right. And so she, kind of gave me the baton. She gave me some information, and I started digging, and it was like this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole and this rabbit hole. So by May, I was like, you know what? I got to rebel. We got to rebel. Like, we have to rebel. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, we're going out to the West Coast and we're driving Pacific Coast Highway. And they were like, what? In the middle of a pandemic? I said, yes, we're going out there. Let's go. We flew into Seattle. We drove the entire West Coast. And that was in May of 20. And I was like, F you and your, I was a tyrant. When it came to that, when it came to the mask, I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not wearing that. Absolutely. Nope, not going to do it. I serve this country. I know what this looks like. This is communism. And people were like, oh my God, you're such a conspiracy theorist. And I'm like, no, this is the start of communism, folks. This is what this is. This is what this is.
A lot of people have their head in the sand.
Right. And I was sticking to my guns, and that's the way it was. And it got to a point that I felt like I was the only one that was fighting. And I just was like, I'm done. And I cocooned, and all of that happened. And, we saw what unfolded, and, you see the burying of the heads in the sand. And I think we're in a better place now because, people are they've been waking up, right? I mean, we have a pocket of people that are not so much, but I think there are more people awake to what's going on today than they were 5 years ago. So I look at it like the needle's moving. So, and then you have people who say, oh, we're done for. And it's like, no, these people, they're in control. If they're in control, they could have ended us back in 20, and they didn't. So what's going on? And it's just kind of been this consistent, controlled type of situation. And I'm like, that kind of smells like covert something is going on. And like something for the good. So I believe that there are people in the right place, in the right time, in the right place, right time for the right mission. And, that's something that I've always been interested in is, that part of the military intelligence and all of that. So I kind of got into that and dove into that. And then all that happened in 21, in January of 21. And I was like, I'm done. I am tapping out, like, take me now, God, I've had it, and it was like, no. And then I was like, I on this journey, right? And then it's like, oh my God, you're given the eyes to see. And I'm like, oh my God, this is Biden 2.0. That's so-and-so 2.0. And it's like, something's going on. And, there's people that will still say, you're a conspiracy theorist. And I take it as a compliment because I'm like,
we're batting 1,000.
I'm like, you know what?
That
We're
nostalgia.
kicking ass and taking names. So what's up?
Exactly.
Right? It's like, this is amazing. So it's going to be okay. And I would never have traded this journey for anything. It's been, it's been a great experience. And when you're mindful, like, people say, do you drink? And I'm like, yeah, I go out, I'll have a couple drinks. Absolutely. But I know how to do it and be mindful. I don't need to be, I've healed myself to the point that I don't need to drink myself into oblivion to, stifle the pain, right? So
Would you consider yourself a normie or an alcoholic? Or
I
neither?
would, I'm neither.
Okay.
I'm neither. I think I abused it for a long time. And I think a lot of people are abusers. I think when you can take it away and then do the work because I do believe that is so important, that that you should abstain from it, do the work that needs to be, done. And if you want to have a drink every now and again, yeah, but when it should not become something that you're doing every day, because,
Well, that would fall under the category
you can't.
more of a normie. You're more of a normie.
I'm more of a
you can
normie.
turn it on and off, and
Yep.
alcoholics can't.
Yep.
They can't have 2 or 3
Right.
beers or
Right.
a glass of wine or 2 and walk away. They have to drink 3 bottles or 6-pack or 12-pack, or they just can't stop. And so that's, I think, the difference right there.
And a lot of it is, Alan, is because they haven't done the inner work. They're not ready. And that's fine. They're right where they need to be. But at the same time, you got to be careful with that, because, it isn't good for you to be doing it every day. But if you want to go out and have a glass of wine and, dinner with friends on a weekend, okay, fine. But when we're abusing it and we're not being mindful, it's not a good thing.
Absolutely.
So, I've been able,
moderation.
everything in moderation. That's what life is all about, right? You hear all kinds of things like, about our food and all of this. And it's like everything in moderation. Just be mindful of what you're eating. Be mindful
I'm telling you.
Yeah, be mindful of what you're eating. Get moving. Get your joints moving.
I'm telling you.
Big time. I've had issues with my joints. I have a shoulder replacement. I have a cervical disc replacement, and I just started this patch through LifeWave, and it uses phototherapy. This guy who is the inventor, he's the CEO of the company. He didn't want to sell it to big pharma. He didn't want to sell it to a medical device company, so he decided to do the direct marketing where you could come on as a brand partner and do that. So I said, nah, I just want to try the patch out. And now I'm like, I want to promote this because I believe in it. I mean, I wake up, my joints are not sore, because what it does is it stimulates the dormant stem cells, which are regenerative. People are going to Mexico to have stem cell transplants, paying $20,000. You can pay $3.30 a day and kind of have the same effect. Your body has its power. Your body has the power to heal itself.
Yes.
If we're not putting, all this crap, and that's another rabbit hole. Big pharma.
Yeah, my wife had stem cells in her hip, and she didn't have to have that hip flap replaced or surgery. Stem cells healed it. Yeah, imagine
Great.
that. Imagine that.
How old is your wife?
She's 51.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
Isn't that crazy? I had my shoulder replacement at 50. It's
yeah.
like we're midlife. We should be like, this is, so that's when all of what they're spraying in the air, putting in the
I'm
food,
telling
things
you,
like
I'm
this,
telling you.
it's like,
And
it's
if you don't pay
undeniable.
attention, if you don't pay attention to what you're eating, and I've thrown caution to the wind. I mean,
Yeah,
I was married
absolutely.
for 16 years, and then it got miserable, and I threw caution to the wind and ate whatever I wanted and drank whatever I
Yeah.
wanted whenever I wanted, and I got a little bit thick there for a while. It didn't seem like it when it's happening, and that was 30 pounds ago. And
Yeah.
I went from my 20s to having uh, being in my 20s and being in good shape, to being married in my 30s and then in
Mm-hmm.
my 40s, and got a little out of shape towards the end, especially when you're not happy towards the end of a marriage. And
Yeah.
I abused alcohol at different times. My first wife was an alcoholic. That was a big part of our problems. And but yeah, I mean, you just gotta make these choices, and some people can make the choice and stop and move forward, and some people have to have a little extra help, and
Yeah.
sometimes they have to go through that process more than once, sometimes 2 or 3 times, go through AA or whatnot, or in a program like that, and that's the difference between a normie and an alcoholic. Or
Right.
and it doesn't have to be just alcohol. You can insert any drug or anything abuse that you want to abuse, food. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, and so here I am now. I'm in my 50s as well, and I decided to start eating different about a year and a half ago, and when I moved to Mexico, is when it started, and I started to decide to get in shape. And I'm not the guy that's going to go to the gym. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy that if it's not going to get done at the house or in the living room or upstairs or in the wherever basement, it's not. I'm not going to go to the gym. And when you knew me back in the Air Force, in the military, there was a little gaggle of us, Rich and Jose and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
guys, and we for about a year and a half, 2 years, we went to the gym pretty consistently every day, and I ended up getting burned out and stopped cold turkey, and decided to start doing push-ups, sit-ups, calisthenics, and after that, I was in the best shape of my life, and so got away from that in my 30s and 40s, and now in my 50s doing calisthenics, push-ups, crunches, pull-ups. That's it. A variety of push-ups, a variety of crunches, and a variety of pull-ups. And I spend about 20 minutes per session. I do 2 to 3 times a week, and I'm about as good a shape as I've ever been in.
That's all you need.
Yeah, and eating right. And
Yeah.
once in a while, you know what? I know where to go for the best cheeseburger, and I go there maybe once a month. Maybe once a month.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You can do that once a month, and I feel like crap after that. And it's good at the moment when you're eating it, but then 30 minutes later, you're like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Because
I'm telling you.
yeah, I don't want to say I'm strict keto, because I'm not strict keto, but I stay away from pastas and breads and carbs for the most part. Not a lot of sugar, not a lot of sweets, but chicken, meat, steak, all the stuff that they say was bad for us, eggs, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. I've gotten a little, well, over the winter, because this was my first winter here, and it's the dampness that gets me, right? And it gets in my joints. But I probably put on about 10 pounds and I feel it. And I can feel it when I put my clothes on and it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oh, the weather's getting better. I'm on this patch now. I'm feeling better. I'm more mobile in my joints. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm getting out. I've been and doing that and it's like I'm stepping out of this cocoon phase and getting busy and So yeah, it is. It's so important to take care of ourselves. And um
You know, another tip on food is portion control.
oh, big time. Yeah.
Portion control, eat better, eat
Yep.
less, and you know, not it doesn't work for everybody, but intermittent fasting. I don't eat until about 11, 12 o'clock every day.
Mhm.
I skip breakfast. It is not the most important meal of the day, despite popular belief.
No,
Um,
it's not.
if anything, coffee black. I cheat because I have to put whole whipping cream and some monk fruit sweetener in it. So I cheat a little bit. So there, again, I'm not strict keto, but 90% keto. And that's all I have is 1 cup of coffee. I don't have, 78 ounces. I have about 8 to 10 ounces. That's it. And I don't eat till 11 or 12 lunch. And then I have a sensible dinner. And that's it. And just maintain my composure. But I got to tell you,
Yeah.
I'm a foodie and I love food. And it would be really easy for me to just let loose and gain 50 pounds. I could do it easy.
Oh, big time, me too. I love food. But I think it's very strange, but I think during this journey I go through spurts where I'm like, I don't want to eat, and then I
Mm-hmm.
want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
very weird.
I get it.
And I'm coming out of this funk. The last several months have been challenging. I lost a contract, so I haven't been working, and so I'm a little concerned about that. I mean, I'm living off of my savings, but
Mm-hmm.
it has not been an easy 5 years for me, and I don't complain about it. I don't, poor me, wham, wham, wham. I don't do that. I try to maintain and be positive and understand that, I'm doing this work and I'm doing this work to shed things. And, I've always been protected, and everything will work out at the end of the day. So it's really about mindset too, life
Oh boy, listen, I know. I mean,
mindset, man.
you
It's
have to
everything.
mindset and perspective. I talk to people about perspective because
Yes.
everybody has a story and everybody's story is different. And
Yes.
I would love to. I mean, we're tapping on an hour right now, and it seems like it just flew by,
I
and
know.
we haven't even scratched the surface of.
No.
I mean, I'm telling you, we can talk about so many things because you mentioned writing a book. I've mentioned I want to write a book. Once we start swapping war stories, and I'm telling you, people are going to resonate with two normal people like us that you know we're normal people. We may have been in some abnormal situations just because we were in the military. Not everybody
Mm-hmm.
goes to the military, but uh, we had relatable situations, that everybody can relate to, just even if they weren't in the military. And not just that, we're civilians, so,
Yeah.
and we've been civilians more, I think, more of our lives than we were actually military people. But yeah, let's get back together on this. And I'm
Big
telling you, if
time.
you want to talk about just on my side of my family, my immediate family, whether it's my mom's side or my dad's side, we can touch bases on almost any subject. You want to talk about, oh shoot, what do you want to talk about? Drugs, alcohol,
Yeah.
uh, prostitution, murder, uh,
Mm.
extortion. I mean, I mean, everything, anything, uh, drug overdoses, deaths, murders. eh, There's nothing that I have my family, either on one side or the other, hasn't done or been a part of. And that's just that's just a couple chapters of the book right there. I mean, we haven't touched bases on the military experiences and your experiences the last 5 years specifically, and leading up to the last 5 years. I mean, I can't wait to share a bunch of stories with you and hear your stories.
And you're hearing
Oh,
this, and you're probably going to hear this on the second podcast, but we split it up into two separate podcasts because, it's been 2 hours. So here we go. This is what it's all about: harnessing the shift, talking about what's going on in the world, and how we can use the information to really get on our spiritual journey, get on the right path, and stepping into this shift. And sure, there's so much information out here, but at the end of the day, that information does not have to put us in a state of where we're fearful or we need to be in control. It's all about rising above, learning emotional intelligence, being in control of your thoughts, feelings, and emotion. And that only happens when you shut it off and you take breaks and you allow yourself to heal. And if that means you need to sleep, you sleep. And you go through it and understand I've been there. I'm coming out of a fog that I've been in for 2 months.
Hey everybody, like I said, I was going to split this up because we went well over 2.5 hours actually. So I wanted to split it up into 2 different podcasts. So stay tuned for part 2 with Alan. And if this episode stirred something within you, please share it with your friends. And let's create a community of like-minded individuals that understand that the shift doesn't happen outside of you, that it happens the moment that you choose to come home to yourself. And if you're ready to experience powerful, non-invasive wellness support through your light, explore the workhorse patch that is X39 and begin activating your body's natural intelligence today. At 20, we have 1 billion healthy stem cells, and by 30, they decline 60%. At 50, it's down to 75, and I'm not even going to go any further than that. Everybody should be on this patch because it has proven to activate healthy stem cells, and it's proven to increase the copper peptides within the body, and it uses phototherapy to trigger healing, and it's patented and clinically proven technology. So if you're interested in getting started on X39, please reach out to me in the DMs, on social media platforms, on my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you are. Just go ahead and reach out to me and we'll get you started on the X39 patch. And just keep in mind that it's less than a latte a day, $3.30. And why not step into your own sovereignty, your medical freedom, and taking care of yourself, and add this to your wellness routine. Because your healing was never outside of you, beloved souls. It was always encoded within. So stay rooted and sovereign. Keep harnessing the shift.